Hello, welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'm going to be planting up these two planters with a display that should last the whole summer hopefully. So I'm going to have tall plants in the middle to give it a nice bit of height, but also have trailing plants around the outside so that the pots are covered in colour from the top to the bottom. So in the middle of each pot I'm going to put one of these Argyranthemums. The Argyranthemum standards here, they're going to give it some real good colour all summer long. These repeat flower the whole summer. Now the displays at times might go down a little bit if they need deadheading. You can just deadhead them, but they'll keep putting out new flower buds constantly, and that'll always give a good display. And because these have got a nice clear stem, you can plant underneath them and have plenty more colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the middle and give some height and give some colour above the pot. Then around them I'm going to put these purple lobelia. Now these are bush lobelia, so these will grow up to probably about 20 centimetres, so they could come up to about this height on the stem, and that's going to fill in the middle area of the plant, give plenty of colour there. And then because I want to have something trailing down the side of the pot here, I'm going to go for these other lobelia, and these are the trailing lobelia, and I'm going to just go for the white ones here because it's quite a nice neutral colour, and I've gone for purple with these lobelia because the purple here should go quite nice with the yellow of the Argyranthemums here. So I'm just going to put a ring of each. So I'll start off putting in the putting these Argyranthemums in the middle, and that'll be a good starting point for me on these pots. Now the soil that I'm using is going to be a very rich multi-purpose compost with lots of feed in it. It's going to be a slow release feed that should last the whole summer, but I will also be topping it up with tomato liquid feed as the summer goes on, because these will be very hungry plants. They'll be producing lots and lots of flowers, so they need lots of food to keep going. So I'll just get started. I'll put some compost in here. I'll then pop in the two Argyranthemums in the middle, and then we'll start planting up around the base. So as I'm filling up the compost, I'm just making sure it's nice and loose. Any hard lumps such as this here, just breaking up with my hand. You can see there another hard lump. Quite often compost comes on a pallet and has been stacked several compost bags high, and that means that the compost will be really compacted, quite hard and difficult for the roots to grow through. So what you want to do is make sure it's nice and loose, break up any hard pieces, just get your hand and get in there and just loosen it all up, and that will allow the roots to grow nice and easily into the compost. It also makes watering easier, because the water doesn't just sit on the surface or run over the top. It will actually soak in quite nice and easily. So that's a useful thing to do whenever you're putting out new compost. Make sure it's nice and loose. Any hard lumps will really impede any other growth of the roots from the plants. So that's the Argyranthemum now in the middle of the pot. What I've done is I've created a bit of a hollow, and I've tried to look with my eye that make sure the level is about the same height as the top of the pot, but just slightly below, so I've still got space to put more compost in. And I've just created a nice little hollow there for it to sit into, give it a bit of stability before I put the compost in. Just want to make sure it's roughly in the middle. It looks quite good at the moment. I'm going to be keeping this bamboo cane on it because these Argyranthemums are so top heavy. If you don't have this cane in, it will probably snap and break the plant off. Also, if there's a strong wind, it can quite easily blow over. So what I might do is, because this cane only goes to the bottom of the pot here, or where the bottom of the pot used to be, what I'm going to do is put in a second cane that's going to go even deeper right to the bottom of this main pot, and that'll make sure this doesn't tip over, because any strong winds, and this will be very easy to be blown over. So I'm just going to fill in the compost now until it's about the same level as the compost here. So now that the plant's in, I just need to give it a little bit of a firm. This is to make sure it doesn't blow over. If you just put it in straight as this, we're just topping up the compost, it will probably blow over quite easily. You just want to firm it down. Make sure the compost is pushed gently around it. You don't want to push really hard, because if you push too hard, what will happen is you'll compact the compost and the roots will struggle to grow. So just a gentle firming, making sure that it's not too unstable, and that should make it so that it doesn't blow over. But I will be putting in an extra cane personally, because where these will be growing will be a really windy area, so they'll need that extra support. But generally, if you're not living in a really windy area, just the original cane that it came with might well be enough. So that's the first ring of lobelia now planted. As I said, these are the purple ones and these are the bush variety. So these will grow quite a lot. They'll probably grow to about this height. They're not very tall plants, but they should get to about that height. So there'll be a little bit of space below the bottom leaves here and the top of the flowers on these lobelia. They will also spread out quite a lot, but what will stop them spreading out too much is there's going to be other lobelia around here, and so these will probably come up and over the top of them. That's not an issue, because the other lobelia will actually be trailing down. So even though the base of those other lobelia plants are going to be covered and not getting any light, they'll be getting plenty of light from the parts of the plant that are trailing around the edge of the pot. Now the way I've spaced it, I have put these a bit further back so it's not quite in the centre. The reason for this is going to be next to a wall, so any of the trailing lobelia going down the side here you wouldn't really see. So I'm just going to plant the trailing lobelia on 3 sides instead of 4 sides, because there's no point having it trailing behind a wall where you're not really going to see it. So now I'm going to just put in the trailing lobelia. They're just going to be planted on the 3 sides here, so it'll trail over nicely. If I do have any spare, I might put 1 or 2 at the back, but generally the back's just going to stay clear and it's going to have the lobelia on the 3 sides. If this wasn't against a wall, then I probably would put it all around the 4 sides instead of the 3 sides. So that's the plant pots now fully planted up and put in their final positions. So this is where they're going to grow, and you can see this is why I said I didn't want to plant it at the back here, because it's such a thin area, you're not really going to be able to see any plants in there. So I just planted around the edge. So that was the last thing I did, was plant up these trailing lobelia at the edge here. They're going to be white. The trailing lobelia, they could even get to the ground if it's a really good year. Where I'm growing these is Scotland, it's quite a cold climate, so they might not get right down to the ground, but in good years they could well do, and that would completely cover the pot, so it would just be pure flowers and no pot at all. So these are all growing quite quickly. These are quite vigorous plants, lobelias. They're going to completely smother this soil, so within probably 2 or 3 weeks you won't see any compost, it'll just be massive leaves. In a month's time these will probably be starting to flower, and the trailing ones will be starting to go over the edge. The trailing ones will be encouraged to come over the edge because the bush ones are going to be in the way, blocking them, but also because of where the light is, because there's a wall at the back here, these are going to grow towards the light and fall over the edge, so they'll trail quite nicely. The Argyranthemums here, they used to do quite well. They only quite a lot of deadheading. You can see there's loads of new buds coming, and as I say, the buds will keep growing throughout the whole season, so this will flower right through to autumn. What will also be required is a little bit of pruning to keep the ball shape, because some bits will grow faster than others and it will kind of lose its shape, but I can just do a bit of pruning, cut it back and keep the shape there. So all I need to do now is give it a good soak, give it a good watering, tie in these canes with some string, keep it nice and straight and secure, because these are a little bit wobbly at the moment. As you can see, they're blowing around in the wind. I need to keep this really well watered as well. These are going to be quite thirsty plants. The first few weeks shouldn't be too bad, it's still spring, still quite cool, and the plants aren't that big yet, so they won't need too much water. But come summertime, when the lobelia have grown right over the edge, they'll need lots of water, probably almost watering every couple of days if it's hot weather. And the other maintenance I need to do on these is they need kind of side shoots here. I'll just need to nip off, because this might naturally try and regrow from the base, and that'll ruin the nice kind of pom-pom head that it's got there, kind of lollipop shape. So that's it for this video. What I will do is I'll do an update video in summertime, so you can see these in full flower. Hopefully they'll be looking really nice. The Argyranthemums, we'll see how they do. They might get a bit of damage from the wind, but with the staking and with the bamboo canes they should do quite well. As I say, I'll give you guys an update sometime in summertime so you can see these in full flower.